Welcome back to the channel, everyone. As always, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow. Today I wanted to talk about a new article that was just published about a new species of praying mantis that has been discovered in Iran. This is a species in the genus Sinaiella in the family Toxoderidae, and this mantis was found in the wild here in Iran, where this first star in the map is. This genus was previously restricted to the Arabian Peninsula, so this expands the known range for the genus Sinaiella quite a bit. Males are fully developed as far as their wings go. They have full wings, but females are brachypterous, meaning that they have kind of short, stubby wings or poorly developed wings. And the males overall are necessary for a fully accurate species description. Their hind wings are infamated, meaning that they're this dark, smoky color, whereas most of the wings of this genus Sinaiella are highline, so clear. However, you can also do identifications based off of the terminalia and the genitalia, although that is far more difficult in the field. What was interesting with this group is that the females show evidence of thanatosis. So when they are startled, they will drop from wherever they are and then pretend to be dead, or in this case kind of look like a stick, and they will do this up to 5 minutes, which is apparently something which is known from this genus, but is more often seen in things like stick insects, which aren't too distant of a relative of the mantids. What is super interesting with this research, especially if you are a member of the more general public and not necessarily a trained entomologist, is that you'll see this other star in Armenia. And it turns out that this specimen actually was collected and preserved in an Armenian entomology collection back in 1952. And this is something that the general public generally doesn't understand when it comes to just how many unique species there are and how many likely undiscovered species there are. There does seem to be this pernicious belief that we already have all the species documented. I've been asked before by physicists that I was at a party with that, well, why is your job even necessary? Don't we already know all of the insects on Earth? And there is this sort of attitude amongst lay people that if there are unknown species, it's probably limited to the tropics or a rainforest, something like that. But unknown species are collected all the time and largely go unnoticed. And this includes species that are possibly in your backyard. So it is very unlikely for us to, discover and name a new large mammal or even an exotic bird, something like that. There aren't a lot of those wandering around. But when it comes to insects, we probably know fewer than 10% of all of the species on the planet. Even when they are collected or are noticed, these undescribed species, the people who end up in possession of these that curate these entomology collections aren't generally in a position where they can name them and describe them because they lack expertise in that specific group, which is what has happened here. This mantis was collected back in 1952, but whoever was curating this collection, whoever collected this specimen, they were not in a position to recognize this as a new species or describe it as such or give it a name. So these specimens will just sit in these collections, frequently in a museum, for years, decades, more than a century, until someone comes along who has the expertise to be able to differentiate these new species from known species within the group, especially because some of these groups are either very, very large. Most entomological research is focused on groups that are of significant economic or health concern, and not necessarily, a detritivore or predator species, things like that. These are generally overlooked groups when it comes to funding for these sorts of endeavors. And unfortunately, it's not just someone with expertise, it has to be someone with the time and the money to be able to work on these projects, which is one of the reasons these entomology collections are so important. They're not just records of when insects are collected in time and space. Frequently, these are unique records of species that we don't even know about and no one has gotten around to working on with yet. So I will post this paper in the description. It's very short. The mantis is really cool looking. It's fairly large. And I'll talk to you guys later.